questions that you have for the candidates in the Q&A. If you will put them in the Q&A, and Madam Chair, if you will monitor the Q&A, that would be wonderful. Please note that all District 2 candidates who qualified to run in Douglas County's commissioner's race were invited to be a part of tonight's forum. And in fact, we have 4 participating. For clarity, the flyer that went out did not include 2 of the candidates, one due to an omission on our part and the other due to a missed deadline. But we are thankful this evening for candidates Kelton Hill, Whitney Kenner Jones, Henry Mitchell IV, and Reuben Tillman for your attendance. And I'll ask one last time, is Melody Wilcox in the house? Hearing no response, we'll move forward. Candidates, we will proceed as such. Each of you will be allowed time to introduce yourselves. Then we will move into the question and answer session, where you will each have 2 minutes to respond to each question. Please note that you will alternate responding to the questions, starting with Mr. Hill. Our timekeeper, Chair Richard Randolph, and President Randolph will inform you should you reach your allotted time. We respectfully ask that should this happen, you wrap up your comments quickly, because we would hate to have to put you on mute, but we will do it. Now, candidate Hill, thank you again for joining us this evening. And please introduce yourself, sharing with us what you'd like for us to know about you. Are you not able to take yourself off mute, Mr. Hill? There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. My name is Kelton Hill. I'm a 31-year resident of Douglas County, specifically District 2. I'm a 37-year law enforcement officer. I've managed law enforcement personnel for basically my entire career. I haven't lived out here 31 years. I've served on a number of committees, particularly my fraternities committees. I've served the county in a number of different ways. From the time I moved out here, I began mentoring and coaching young men from 1995 and even to the present. I'm still coaching to this day. I volunteer at my school systems. Lithia Springs, currently now I volunteer to New Manchester. I've advocated for those who needed advocating for, working with Ms. Compton, advocating for people even before she became the Solicitor General. I've worked with Chief Sparks with his Youth Against Violence initiative, as well as Sheriff Towns eradicating crime. Even from a professional standpoint, I've worked with the Sheriff's Office eradicating crime in Douglas County and District 2. From a giving standpoint, I've represented my fraternity as a chair of our mentoring, our scholarship, and our sponsorship committees. While chairing the scholarship committee, which I am currently the chair, I was able in my first year, which was last year as the chair, take our scholarship program from 5 scholarships to 20 scholarships given to students in the Douglas County region. That took a lot of fundraising and a lot of effort, but I was able to do it after being challenged to do so. Having lived out here for as long as I've lived out here, I've seen Douglas County change and grow over the years and been a part of that change. I've stood when it was difficult to stand, but I stood anyway, along with other folks. I've represented, advocated for students at Chapel Hill High School. I've advocated for students who were accused of stealing at a store. So I say that to say that I am your candidate. I've been here 31 years. I've been through Douglas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Candidate Whitney Kenner Jones, please take 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this evening. My name is Whitney Kenner Jones, and I am running, of course, to be your next District 2 Commissioner for Douglas County. I believe that I'm qualified for this position because I'm committed to Douglas County. I have a bachelor's degree in public health, community health education. I have a master's degree in public administration, and I'm also currently an attorney. I have a very unique perspective and a different skill set that I will be bringing to this position that I think could be beneficial to our residents. I have demonstrated a very long-term commitment to Douglas County, both through my work as a juvenile court attorney, previously representing parents and children, and now currently representing DFACs in child abuse, neglect, and abandonment cases. I think this work gives me a very unique perspective on what's going very, very well in Douglas County, but also gives me a unique perspective on what could be done better to help advance Douglas County and to move Douglas County forward. I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, as well as Jack and Jill, and have been very dedicated and committed to both of those organizations and the work that they do in the community. Additionally, I've had the opportunity to work directly with the community, focusing mostly on health and welfare for the children of this community, both in organizing events such as the Ride or Scoot to School for New Manchester Elementary School, and also participating as a speaker and panelist for different career work days in the high schools and middle schools and elementary schools in this area, and I'm still committed to doing that work. I definitely think that this position takes someone who's going to be able to negotiate on Douglas County's behalf, stick up for the residents, even when opinions may not be popular or people may be giving us pushback. That's definitely a fight that I'm always willing to take on. I want to make sure that we continue to make fiscally
10
responsible
seconds.
decisions for the county. And I definitely think that I'm the best commissioner for this position. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Henry Mitchell IV, you would please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Henry Mitchell IV. Most people know me as Beanie from my nickname. I'm born and raised in Douglas County, from Eastside Elementary School to Stewart Middle School to graduating Douglas County High School. I got my bachelor's in mass comm communications. I graduated, ended up coming back home, and as soon as I graduated, came back home, I seen a need in the community. So the first need that I did was I was a co-chair at Golden Memorial for 7 years, and I worked with teenagers for those 7 years. And throughout those 7 years, I ended up creating an organization called Black Diamonds. And we've done a multitude of things throughout the community. We have done small business events where we help build a small business. We have done mentoring events. We have done Feed the Hungry. You name it, we've done it. You can ask all the Board of Commissioners about me and they'll tell you about me. Most of them has partnered with me on my events. You can also ask the council members about me because most of them have also partnered with me. You can talk to me about or talk to Sheriff Pounds about me. You can talk to Chief Sparks about me. All of these people have been to my events and has partnered with me to help build the community. So they already know what it is that I do. I just recently, within the last couple of years, got motivated to actually run for office. I wasn't doing those things to run for office. I was doing those things because there is a need. Right now, we have a need to have a District 2 County Commissioner, and I am that need that will be able to do that. My platform is very well crime reduction, cultivating the citizens, and community building. Through crime reduction, I want to, most of the crime being committed in Douglas County is between the ages of 13 and 19. So I want to work with those groups, create a big sister, big brother program like we used to have back in the day to try to figure out what's going on in their lives and try to get to the meat of how they can kind of better pursue a successful life within their own lives. I also want to create a anonymous line tip that they will be able to use only particularly with their age group so they can communicate with crime that's going on so they're not afraid to speak up. Cultivating the citizens. A lot of our citizens are uneducated about what's really going on and what we can or can't do. I want to do that. So what I'll do is have monthly meetings with the citizens of District 2 and just kind of explain what's kind of going on. Another thing is community building. And with community building, I want to partner or merge a liaison or be the liaison between the school district and the big businesses to create an internship program for the high schoolers.
It looks like your time is up.
Thank you.
We will hear more from you. I'm going to try to work to have Mr. Randolph unmuted. While we are doing that, Mr. Candidate Tillman, if you would please share about yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, citizens of District 2 specifically. My name is Ruben D. Tillman. I am a lifelong member of District 2, having attended Factory Shows Elementary School and Colonial Hills during elementary school. I also attended Factory Shows Middle School, and I graduated from New Manchester High School. Upon graduating from New Manchester High School, I attended Texas A&M University and graduated from Texas A&M University, majoring in political science with a full leadership and character scholarship called the Posse Scholarship, correct? Upon graduating from Texas A&M, I interned briefly with the Board of Commissioners and also worked as a legislative aide under the Board of Commissioners as well. I have an extended career with all three phases of government, with judicial, legislative, and executive. My current job, I work as a statewide diversion program manager for Project Pinnacle, which is a program that is in lieu of nonviolent felony offenses between the ages of 17 and 25. Instead of going to prison, doing jail time, paying restitution, or being on probation, they do my program, Project Pinnacle, for a full year, and they get their case dismissed by the district attorney. We have a 90+% success rate over 400 graduates, right? And so I have extensive experience with all three phases of government. I'm also a youth pastor and a licensed ordained minister by way of the Hunter Hill First Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I have a faith-based background, very grounded in morals, right? And I also work as a youth football coach for the Douglasville Tiger Cubs, right? So when it comes to reaching our youth and reaching our kids and the society, I have extensive work at being a youth pastor. So I know the kids that come from a faith-based, strong foundation. I also work with the 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds during youth football. So I know, pretty good extensive works with the early adolescents, excuse me. And I also work with 17 to 25-year-olds who are first-time nonviolent felony offenders. So I have experience with the troubled youth as well. And so I've seen the implementation of intercepting the school-to-prison pipeline program by implementation of programs
10 seconds.
and for job training as well. And so my three pillars are new business, proper tax money allocation, and public safety.
10 seconds.
Ruben
Done.
Tillman, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candidate Tillman, and thank you to all of you for those thoughtful introductions of yourselves. We were going to do it, but we thought the people would rather hear from you. Now we will move to the questions. Candidate Hill, please share why you are running for office.
Okay, I'm sorry. The negative to going first is that everybody gets to hear your statement and then go from there. But I too have a master's degree in public administration and organizational securities and management. But I'm running for office because I too see a need. I'm a 37-year law enforcement officer who served admirably and with integrity. And I think that this board certainly needs this at this time. I've talked to constituents who have some concerns about politics in Douglas County. I've always operated with integrity, and I think that with that, I understand crime. I've advocated for, I've worked against crime my entire career. I understand how to eradicate crime. I understand how to build a program so that we can save our youth. As I oversaw our police athletic league in Atlanta, I'm still currently involved. That is a crime fighting resource. I do know how to implement strategies to eradicate crime. I do understand what it takes to build community, and I do understand what it takes to be economically sound. Those things are the reasons why I've decided to run, because there is a need for integrity. There is a need for someone who's been in this district for 31 years as an adult, not as a kid, not moving in this district the last 3 or 4 years. It was somebody who has been in this district. And I think that being that I've been in this district, I understand the district, I understand the community, I understand what is needed. I understand the business owners in this district because I talk to them. I talk to the kids. I'm still currently right now mentoring a group out of New Manchester High School, a group of young men. I talk to their parents. I understand what is needed. I understand what the community needs. I understand what we need to do with crime. I've done it. I've been a part of the city of Atlanta's executive branch. I've met with them on a number of occasions to discuss crime and discuss issues related to that community. So I understand what needs to be done. I am the man for it. I've done this my entire adult life, and I understand what needs to be done. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for fame. I'm doing this because this is my community. I've been here, and I want to do what I love here where I live. So
Thank you,
Time.
Candidate Hill. Candidate Jones, we ask that you answer that same question. Why are you running for this office?
I'm running for this office because I think that it's time for the diversity of thought to match the diversity that Douglas County currently has. I think that being a military brat and having the opportunity to live not only all over the country, but all over the world has given me a unique perspective on things that work very well in other communities, as well as things that work well here in Douglas County. Douglas County is absolutely on the right track. I think that what we are doing in terms of business acquisition and mentorship opportunities and growth and development opportunities is definitely on the right track. But to stay going in that direction, you're absolutely going to have to be governed by somebody that brings more to the table than just being a lifelong resident of this county. I definitely think that it is important to make sure that people are aware that there's more to what goes into making a positive, healthy community and reducing crime rate than just pushing the narrative that we need to be tougher on crime. Statistically speaking, communities that have a higher educated population and communities that have a well taken care of base, where you have easier access or better access to healthcare, better access to education by way of have lower levels of poverty and have lower levels of crime. And I think that my unique experience in public health, as well as in public administration, as well as in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and in the work that I currently do now as an attorney, are things that are always going to be helpful and driving Douglas County forward. And so for those reasons, I think that I'm the right candidate for this, but I'm also running because I want to make sure that the policies and procedures that we are pushing on the Board of Commission match the diversity of the residents that live here.
Thank you so much, Candidate Jones. And now, Candidate Tillman, we ask you that same question. Why are you running for this office?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And I just want to make it clear that, that I first signed my declaration of intent for this position back in February, right? So tomorrow will be a full 365 days of me campaigning to be your next District 2 County Commissioner, unbeknownst of knowing what Kelly Robinson was going to do, unbeknownst of who my opponents or competitors were going to be. I declared for this position back in February because I had the vision for new business, proper tax money allocation, and for public safety. Right, being a resident of this district for 26 years, we just adopted the same millage rate for the past 4 years, but with that include a 2.9% property tax increase. Well, with that property tax increase, we still see a plethora of car washes. We still see a plethora of Family Dollars, Dollar Trees, and Dollar Generals. And we also see a plethora of warehouses that are being brought into the district. So it's not too much homegrown economic development that's coming into the district. There's not enough food options, healthy food options that are coming into the district. And it's not enough in local entrepreneurship that's being, encouraged within the district as well. And so with that, I would like to pivot. Yeah, I want to be a Board of Commissioner because the most recent voting in the past 2 months, we have defunded the mental health, disability health, and physical health services within the county by nearly $1 million, right? In comparison to our sheriff's budget, they have about $4,166 that are dedicated per inmate for the mental health, physical health, and disability health. Prior to the past 2 months, we had $150 per citizen for our mental health, physical health, and disability health. With that budget cut, it is now $31.50 per citizen, right? And you can check those facts per the Wellstar Board, right? And so I want to be your next commissioner for District 2 of Douglas County because I want to come in with fresh ideas, with new ideas. I want to be that liaison to the youth, and I also want to secure our elders while working with our middle class to secure more social mobility. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much. The next question is going to start with Candidate Jones. What qualifies you for this office?
I think that I'm qualified for this office for a number of reasons. One, I have been a successful business owner, and so I understand from an economic perspective how to partner both publicly and privately for government contracts, as well as in individual or private practice. I also have previously served as, if not the youngest, one of the youngest planning commissioners for the city of Ridgefield, Washington. So I understand what bureaucratic red tape looks like. I understand the importance of zoning laws, from the most minute of things to setting tax rates. all the way up to making sure that your architecture and your design standards are working and functioning well so that your property taxes do stay high, so that your schools are well funded and things like that. Again, I think that my legal background gives me a unique edge or benefit in being able to understand the requisitions that are coming across the Board of Commissioners' desk. Being able to quickly ascertain, analyze, and process large volumes of data and information is definitely a strong suit of mine. And I also believe that I'm qualified for this because I have been doing this work in terms of organizing for the community. I currently serve as the president of the Tributary Alliance Board, which is kind of a microcosm of what the Board of Commissioners do in terms of getting a budget that's based on property sales in this community, and then making sure that we're making fiscally responsible decisions for the community that we live in, while ensuring that the residents maintain a great quality of life. So I think that that brass tacks hands-on experience is definitely going to make me the most qualified for this position.
Thank you so much. And it has been brought to my attention that I left off candidate Mitchell for the last question. So candidate Mitchell, you will have 4 minutes to answer both questions, 2 minutes each. The first one, please share why you're running for the office. And the second question, what qualifies you for the office?
Okay, I appreciate you coming back to me, Ms.
Yes,
Joy.
sir.
So why I should be in the position. Crime reduction, cultivating citizens, and community building. I'm going to stick to those 3 C's, right? With crime reduction, I have worked with the youth personally, so I know what's going on with their minds and what they're trying to do. All right, so my purpose is what I'm trying to do with crime reduction is teach them another way. So my focus is between the ages of 13 and 19. So with teaching them another way is teaching them that you can make other decisions, right? So making other decisions means you can possibly make money, right? So what motivates them is money. Each generation is motivated by money, whether we like it or not, right? So with motivating them with money is teaching them the way you could have a career path with another business, right? So right now, Google, they partner with the school board and they have a program where they teach the kids coding. So one thing that I want to do is incorporate other options where they can have other options where they can learn how to have a trade, right? And so I also want to get the sheriff's department back into the schools, right? So with getting that, it creates a better relationship with our students and our police officers. Right now, with the influence of what's going on throughout social media, they're influenced by a multitude of different things. But what they don't know is the police is their friend. They're not a foe, right? And so also with the cultivating the citizens, a lot of citizens just aren't educated about what's really going on and what we can and can't do, right? So I agree with Ruben when he says a lot of the car washes and things that are popping up. But what we don't know is if they get a building permit, they can do what they want to do for their particular property. It's nothing that the Board of Commissioners can do, nothing that the Planning and Zoning Board can do. Right. So it's teaching them what's kind of going on. Right. So where I am, we have 2 car washes. I agree. I'm like, why is there 2 car washes go down the street and they're like 2 seconds away from each other? Right. So another thing that I want to do is with the cultivating the citizens is build a agricultural department. So students are able to go in and citizens are able to go in to learn how to grow foods, how to eat healthier. Right. With community building, I already spoke about the internship and what I'm trying to do, but what I also want to do is also give them tax abatements, gives them incentive to push that they hire more citizens within Douglas County. Right now, the average person in Douglas County makes about $53,000. That's kind of low when you're trying to, with this high market of housing and things of that nature. So I want to push more of them of them hiring people that are in the county. And why am I the best person for the position is I'm currently a project manager for a Fortune 500 company. I deal with cross-functional teams, and I've been doing this position for almost 10 years. We deal with budgeting and we deal with multitude of different teams, and we work with big businesses. So I understand as far as budgeting goes when it comes to budgeting for the actual seats. Another thing, what I'm great at doing is I'm a person who is in the community, right? I know the citizens. I have been a citizen in Douglas County all of my life. So I work with small businesses and I work with different I would say organizations fit for the future, men's club, All right, I've partnered with these different groups and helped build their organization. So I'm trying to build the small businesses back up. All right. So we have a business called Denise within Douglas County right now. And if you've ever been to the Battery, if you see the B, our company in Douglas County, Denise built that. If you go to UPS and you see their signs of UPS, our company built that. So I want to build the small businesses and also teach them about other things that they can do. So we have multitude of different business opportunities when it comes to business. Google want to give to different businesses. And so that's what I want to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, forgive the oversight. Candidate Tillman, the same question to you. What qualifies you for the office?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I believe that what qualifies me for the office is, one, my knowledge of the district, and two, my experience with the district as well. Like I said, I was the first to declare for the position back in February, and also I have extensive knowledge of all of District 2, having lived in Silver Creek Ranch, Mount Vernon Point, and now Tributary Villages, which are all 3 in District 2 of Douglas County, and my experience with the Board of Commissioners, right? I briefly interned with the Board of Commissioners before being hired as their legislative aide. So I have 3 years with Board of Commissioners work under my belt. I have more experience with this seat and this position than I do with any other government sector within Douglas County as well. And so my extensive work as a legislative aide and as an intern for the Board of Commissioners makes me well prepped to come in and hit the ground rolling with my administration and my initiatives in order to handle things with the truth. Now, one of the things I want to explain is one of my campaign slogans, which is leading with transparency, right? I'm your representative that's not afraid to look at the numbers, to look at the stats, to look at the budget, and to give you what's going on, right? And so we look at the statistics right now, over 60 students right now. It's January 31st. 60 young ladies under the age of 18 in Douglas County have already had a child, right? Between the ages of 15 and 18, one in 3 youths currently has an STI, right? That classifies as an epidemic. If you have a child that you're raising in Douglas County, a young lady or a young man, and they want to experience sexual relations for the first time in high school, they have a 33% chance of catching something their first time. Right. And so I'm coming in well prepared with really good relationships with the principals. I'm a member of the PTSA at New Manchester High School, and I know what the parents, teachers, staff, and administration want within District 2. I also have a great relationship with all administration and elected officials within District 2 as well. In order to reach our children, to secure our youth, and in order to secure our middle class, you have to have your Board of Commissioners, your Board of Education, and all your principals align in the same truth. Vote Ruben Tillman March 12th for District 2 County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Tillman. And Candidate Hill, you will finish out that question. What qualifies you for this office?
Well, thank you again for that question. I'm a 31-year resident. I hate to keep harping on that, but I am. And I spent my entire adult life out here in Douglas, and I've seen the changes. I too am a business owner and co-owners of family business as well. You know, I do have a relationship with the schools, the administrators, and I know what's going on in our schools. I've spoke to students at the schools. I have a relationship with government members where I've met with them and talked with them. And from an academic standpoint, I think my academics qualify me for this position. I've served my community in a number of different ways. I've advocated again for those who needed avocation. I didn't need a job title for that. I didn't need a salary for that. I did it because it was my duty. I've served as a homeowners association president. I've served in a number of different ways. As a law enforcement officer, I too have created programs for our youth. And with creating programs for our youth, I've seen the changes. I've seen the impact that these things have on our community. And as far as crime reduction, I've 37 years in the business. I've served as the director of safety and security. I understand what it takes to eradicate crime. I understand what the sheriff's office don't have or don't do, such as video integration. I think we should have a video integration system. Our larceny rate is 72% of the larcenies that occurred in Douglas County occurred in District 2. I think, and I've talked to business owners, I want to come up with a solution to minimize that, to reduce that. I know we have apartment complexes and hotels, in this district, and I want to come up with solutions with the sheriff's office and the police department to eradicate or reduce that. Just that crime, but all crimes. I've created programs. I created a program called TOPS, Tech with Outreach Program through Sports, that sponsors and mentor kids in the housing development. I've created a plethora of youth programs that served as a crime reducer in the city of Atlanta. And I think I can do that here. Thank you.
Thank you. This question is going to start with candidate Mitchell. Candidate Mitchell, if elected, what can the residents of District 2 expect with you as their representative?
Well, you can expect transparency for the most part, because that's why I want to have monthly meetings with the citizens to let them know what's going on in the community and what's coming up about. All right. So right now, our meetings are between the day where citizens can't or aren't able to make it. So I want to make it easier for them to actually to learn a job. Right. So I think right now, it's kind of hard for a citizen to actually know what's going on. All right. So what I want to do is build a monthly team, somewhat like a coffee and conversation, a monthly thing where we go to different small businesses. That's another way of promoting the small businesses as well. So if you're a small business in District 2, I will be visiting you once a month, right? Different businesses, of course, right? So just so the citizens can know about you, and also so the citizens can learn what it is that they can do, what we have coming up about, right? So right now, I'm sure some of the District 2 citizens don't know, but we are going to merge, or our Lee Road is going to go to Beaumont Road, right? So we're going to build mixed houses, mixed businesses, mixed use apartments going on that alongside that road, right? So it's just teaching them what we have coming about and how we are growing within the community. So that's what I'll bring in that position.
Thank you so much. Candidate Tillman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. What you can expect from me is number one, District 2 has the highest tax revenue within the county, right? By nearly double digits, right? And so what you can see with me is District 2, our citizens, our voters, you're going to start seeing the fruits of your labor, right? You're going to start seeing, in our recent district, Board of Commissioners voting, they just defunded our community service board by nearly $1 million, right? They were operating off of a $1.2 million budget. They are now operating off of a $250,000 budget. Right. And so what that means is your mental health, disability health, and physical health services were just cut by almost $1 million. And I don't care if you're a left wing or right wing or what side of the coin you stand on, you still need your mental health, physical health, and disability health to be funded through your taxpayer dollars as well. 94% of defects cases in Douglas County right now are African-American. Right. And the McKinney-Vento scale of homelessness, we have over 800 kids in Douglas County that sleep in their cars right now. And so what you can see with me and when my administration and immediately with my administration is feasible change, right? I've done the research, I have the facts, I have the numbers, and I have the plan to implement a change that you can start seeing the fruits of your labor. The big hoopla about our millage rate and about our property taxes is that they are going up without us seeing the changes and seeing where the actual money and dollars are actually going towards. And so again, I want to lead through transparency to help move Douglas County forward through the lenses of new business, proper tax money allocation, and public safety. All right, we can't just throw money at a problem. We have to actually address what kind of funding and what kind of programs are going to be implemented to reach these kids at a young age. I just gave you the numbers and statistics about the epidemic that's going on within our school system. As of January 31st, Factory Shores Middle School has already suspended over 22 kids, right? It's the 31st of January this year already alone, and they're already over 22. Right. So you need a board representative who's going to come in and be a liaison to the youth, secure our elders, and build the middle class for social mobility. Vote Ruben Tillman for District 2 County Commissioner. Thank you.
Candidate Hill, same question. What can the residents expect from you?
The residents can certainly expect integrity, transparency, and a consistent meeting with me. I think meeting with homeowners associations to ensure that they're not taking advantage of the residents. The residents there is something that I will continue to do. They can expect me to work very hard on their behalf, as I've done already. To Mr. Tillman's point, we certainly need to advocate for the seniors, as I've done that. I've spoke to seniors recently. I spoke to seniors. I played bingo with seniors. We do need to advocate for better senior care. We need to supplement our senior services to ensure that they get what they need. Our school system, we do need to keep a hamper on the suspensions and meet with principals and meet with school administrators to figure out what other solutions can be. I think that advocating for those who need certainly avocation is what I do. I think I have a strong economic plan to help District 2 continue to do better, to thrive. And I think that working closely with the citizens in District 2 will allow me to do that. I've done that. I will continue to do that. I'm very involved in the school system. I'm very involved in the community. And I think certainly that I will be able to to reduce crime and serve the citizens very well. I think that, my service as a 37-year city employee and work closely with government understands the bureaucracy that it takes to get things done. I know how to have those conversations. I know how to get around getting things done from those who don't want to cooperate and convincing them to cooperate. Those are the things that I've spent my entire career doing, and protecting and serving others. And I want to do that in my community. I've done it, and I want to continue to do it. And allowing me to be your county commissioner will allow me to do even more than what I've done. And that's why I want to be your county commissioner. Vote for Kelton Hill. I've done a lot, and I'm going to continue to do a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Hill. Candidate Jones, if you would share what the citizens can expect from you as representative.
I think that the residents can expect from me a candidate who listens first. I hear so much about what our priorities are and what we think is best for the community. And that is precisely why people are so disenfranchised and dissatisfied with their representative. The first thing that I'm going to do is sit down and listen to what the residents actually want. What are their priorities? And then figure out how to mirror those priorities with what is available in Douglas County's budget. We are talking a lot about crime. We're talking a lot about what's going on with the youth in this school. But when it comes down to it, we have got to make sure that what we are promoting today, one, is shedding a positive light on what is going well in Douglas County. Niche.com has given Douglas County an A- rating in places to live in the Metro Atlanta area. It's one of the top 20 counties to reside in right now in the entire state of Georgia out of 150 counties. And the way that we continue to elevate and move that forward is to listen to what the residents want, and then be willing to go out and staunchly advocate for what they have desired or what they have requested, making sure that we're making fiscally responsible decisions, making sure that we are still working towards attracting a positive business base, but we have got to get our residents back engaged and back involved, and being a commissioner who is willing to sit down with them, talk to them, discuss with them what they are looking for is going to be the best and strongest way to advocate for them. I do that every day in my job, advocating for people whose positions may be different from mine, but no less important. And that is what I will be doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Jones. Now we'll move to our fourth question, and it'll start with Candidate Tillman. What do you see as the most pressing issues facing Douglas County?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Certainly. And if you are not one of the candidates, please mute yourself. If you're not one of the candidates or the timekeeper. The question was, Candidate Tillman, what are the most pressing issues that you see that are facing Douglas County?
Thank you, and I appreciate that. So one of the pressing questions that I see, one of the pressing issues that I see is improper implementation, right? So we are amongst the fastest growing county in the state of Georgia for nearly the 6th year in a row, right? But we have to have a proper infrastructure in place, a proper plan for public safety, and a proper plan for proper tax money allocation and new business, right? Within District 2, we see a food desert. We see a lack of healthy food options and whole food options and late night food options as well. And we qualify with our medium household income for a Sprouts, for a Whole Food store, for a Costco's, and for any other. When I go out and door knock in these communities, and you might see me knocking on your door pretty soon if you live in District 2. When I knock on these doors in the communities, a lot of things that they bring up is their property taxes, the lack of healthy food options, the lack of whole food and late night food options as well, and entertainment. The minimum travel rate, the minimum travel rate for a Douglas County citizen is 33.5 minutes, right? What that means is to go entertain yourself, to go fine dining, and to go find, grocery shopping and working out, this, that, and the third. It's going to take 33.5 minutes of your commute time. That is a problem. There's a lack of homegrown economic development. People are going outside of the county to entertain themselves. They're going outside of the county for healthy food options and whole food options. And they're going outside of the county for fine dining and for other plethora of options that we can keep right here inside District 2, where there's the highest tax revenue within the county, right? So those are the present issues that are coming to me. Yes, we have a very high property crime rate per our population. And that statistic is aimed directly at our youth. And like I said before, I currently work for a federal court program that has a 90+% success rate amongst 400+ graduates who commit a felony offense, not just a juvenile or misdemeanor offense, but a felony offense. We have a 90+% success rate with anti-recidivism within the county. I'm ready to go. I'm locked and loaded. We already have the talks ready to implement that same program within Douglas County under the court system. So you're voting for Ruben Tillman. Ready to go. March 12th, vote Ruben Tillman. Thank you.
Thank you, our candidate Tillman. Candidate Hill, what do you see as the most pressing issues? You're on mute, sir.
I'm sorry about that again. I see our most pressing issue is infrastructure. Our growth is outpacing our infrastructure. To Mr. Tillman's point, it does take quite a while to go get food, decent food, because we need to employ those options here in Douglas County. So our infrastructure needs to be improved. When I talk to business owners, they're concerned about their business being broken into or their cars being broken into. So crime is somewhat of a concern of our members. Although our sheriff's office and our police department are doing a fantastic job, we still have issues with crime, and that appears to be the concerns that I'm hearing. Not only that, affordable housing. I'm hearing that affordable housing is an issue. I had a parent ask me the other day when I was speaking to them that they're having issues affording rent. So I think affordable housing is one of our most pressing issues, and I think that that our homeless population is increasing. We need to do something about our homeless population. And get them shelter, get them some mental health if needed, and get them jobs if needed. So I think that after school care, we have certainly an issue with juvenile crime occurring between 3 and 7 p.m., which is the height of juvenile crime. So after school care can eradicate all of that. So I think having a decent after school program will eradicate a lot of juvenile crime, because that's the period in which they're not being supervised by their parents or supervised by anybody. So if we have a program that's in place to keep these kids occupied and supervised between 3 and 8 p.m., we can eradicate a lot of juvenile crime. A lot of our kids here are good kids and doing what they're supposed to be doing. They just simply need some supervision, which is what they're lacking. So I think the infrastructure, taking care of our youth, giving them options to do before they get in trouble so they don't have to go to the Youth Against Violence Initiative, that's great. The PAL program that I oversee, we do just that. We do supervise kids up until 3 to 7 or 8 p.m. And it's a crime fighting resource. So I think that these things need to be implemented and again, build an infrastructure so you don't have to go outside the county to experience great dining. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Hill. Candidate Jones, same question.
Yes, I feel like the biggest problem that we have right now is we are inviting lots of corporations to the dance, and we are not requiring anything from them in return. I would agree in terms of lack of access and different value options in the community in terms of restaurants, entertainment, youth activities. Well, actually, you know what? I would say that we do have a very robust youth activities department through our Parks and Recreation. So what we need to really be doing and focusing on is making sure that parents have access to that information so that they have tools and resources to help bolster their parenting at home, but also having something positive for the children to do. But with that, we need to start making sure that these companies, these organizations, these businesses that are coming here, who are using our infrastructure, who are making changes to our roadways, making opportunities for us to be able to grow and develop, are giving something back to us, making sure that they are also helping put in workforce development programs so that our students, when they graduate from high school, are educated and are workforce ready, because everybody does not want to go to college, and that's okay. We need to make sure that corporations like Amazon, who are bringing hundreds of square foot buildings to our community, that they are also giving us other options. Amazon has Amazon Fresh, where they could be putting in markets here in our community. We should have made that a requirement. If they wanted to put in a warehouse, they should have had to give the residents something. And so making sure that we have an advocate at the table that is going to be asking and demanding those hard questions and those difficult things so that our community maintains robust and desirable offerings, which is also going to help our property values increase. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Jones. Candidate Mitchell, same question.
Okay, the problems that I see is one that I hear about is affordable housing. That's like one of the biggest things that I hear people say is we can't afford these houses that are here in this time period, right? But if you ask 10 people and put them all in a separate room, what's affordable housing, you'll get 10 different answers. I think the solution is to bring programs and let the community know about the programs like USDA home loan. This is a program that will specifically find a house for you and base it off of what you make from your occupation, right? I think being educated on that to have different routes so everybody is able to afford housing. Another thing I see is people saying that they don't know about certain things going on. So I think education is a big thing about what we can do from a BOC perspective, what the school board can do from a school board perspective. I think that's a huge thing. So I think educating the citizens so they are able to know what it is that we do and hold us accountable, right? The third thing that I definitely see in District 2 is I would say restaurants, right? No, it's not a lot of family things, but we can do. We always have to travel out to either Chapel Hill or Thornton Road to have fun with our family, but we should be able to travel right down the street, right? Another thing that I see is the building of small businesses, right? As I spoke about Denise earlier, right? We have programs that are coming through the Development of Authority. So they have a program to where they're building, Google is offering small businesses different grants to help grow their businesses, right? So the more small business that we grow within the community, the more the community will be motivated to either do that or want to be a part of that as well, right? Another thing that I see a problem is egos. It's a lot of egos when it comes to different parties. I'm not here to just represent Democrats. I'm here to represent Democrats, Republicans, the youth, convicted felons,
10 seconds.
those people who can't vote. That's what I'm here for, right? And again, if you can, make sure you vote March 12th, Henry Mitchell IV. Thank you.
Thank you. So that the citizens who are listening tonight have a clear understanding that you understand the role of the commissioner, we're going to start with candidate Hill and ask, what do you believe the role of the commissioner is?
I believe the role of the commissioner is to obviously represent his constituents, represent their desires, their wants, their needs, and bring them to fruition if they are sensible needs. I think the role of the commissioner obviously is to find funding to supplement our revenue so that we can stay in budget. I believe our role is to make certain that we take care of our crime initiatives. I believe the commissioner's role is to negotiate business deals with businesses that want to come into Douglas County to ensure that our constituents are benefiting from it. I believe the role of the commissioner is to address issues in the community, get out, boots on the ground, get out and find out why crime is happening in certain neighborhoods, or why the streets are not repaired, or why properties are looking the way they're looking. I believe the role of the commissioner is to supplement, build a platform so that this county looks and performs a certain way in answer to the needs of the citizens. That's what I believe the role of a commissioner is. Additionally, I believe the role of commissioner is to ensure that every facet of government is operating efficiently, whether it's the school system, or whether it's our police department, our fire department, and all of our responders or all of our county services are operating efficiently and effectively. That is the role of the commission, and that's what I intend to do. It's not about them. It's not about me. It's about them. So I think that is the role of the commissioner, to ensure that its constituents are being heard, being represented properly, and their communities are being protected. That's what I think the role of the commissioner is. And on March the 12th, please vote for Kelton Hill. I will serve you admirably and with integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Hill. Candidate Jones, same question.
Yes, the role of a county commissioner is to make sure that you are issuing a budget with appropriate allocations to ensure that the functions of your community run smoothly. You need to make sure that you are accounting for public health and safety, education, the welfare of your community members, and also your judicial branch, while working with other government agencies, private business entities, to ensure that your community is functioning the way that it is supposed to. You're also tasked with responsibilities for making sure you're passing appropriate resolutions, that you are making sure that you are complying at all times with the laws of your community, making sure that you are staying within the guidelines of any referendums that you're going to be putting out, making sure that you are going out and seeking appropriate bids or requests for bids when the county is supposed to be acquiring new business or trying to grow or change, making sure that your legislation is being passed appropriately, and then going and advocating for what the constituents in your particular district are asking for or requesting. So overall, a county commissioner's main job is to make sure that the budget is sound, that it remains balanced, so that your funding allocations continue to support the government and the community that you live in.
Thank you, Candidate Jones. Candidate Mitchell, same question.
I know the role of the commissioner is to work with cross-functional departments, cross-functional teams, which is something that I already currently do every day with my job. Another position is budgeting, which is something that I already do currently with my job. Right. Another thing is, the main thing is being the voice of the people. Find out what it is that they want, that they need, what they desire, and try your best to make those things happen. Of course, as a commissioner, you're unable to please the masses, but the goal is to please most, and find those different things to where we can all come together and say, hey, this is the best thing for our community to grow as a community. Right. Another thing that I see is finding grants for citizens. Find ways to reduce taxes. Right. So I would use my father as an example. He found a grant to build the Lithia Springs Senior Center. Right. That's a great thing that happened, and now seniors are loving it. So those are things that I definitely plan on doing for the constituents of District 2. Right. Another thing is transparency. Right. We must be transparent with what's going on, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I think transparency is the biggest thing. When you try to hide things behind closed doors, you get different things happening, but everything you do in the dark always comes to the light. But most of all, you must be a leader. You must be able to be in places and show your face. Let them know that you care about them. Going to the schools, right? I think a big thing for me is when I used back in the day, I used to go to the schools, talk to the students, talk to the teachers, right? Being a part of this community has helped me to save face to where they trust my word and they trust what it is that I'll do, and being an advocate for the people. I was one of the ones who got the statue removed in front of the courthouse, the Confederate statue, right? So ultimately, you need somebody who is able to be fight for the people, but fight for what's right. And that's me, Henry Mitchell IV, March 12th. Thank you.
Candidate Tillman, same question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ultimately, the role of your board of commissioner is to help translate the budget and translate what your taxpayer dollars provide and pay for. Right. So I can sit here and tell you about how your board of commissioner helps to make sure you got roads paved and street lights up. Right. But I'd rather give you real world examples. For example, on August the 8th in 2023, they had a public hearing for the millage rate. And one of my neighbors right here in Tributary Villages came and explained how he was a 2-year resident of Douglas County in District 2 and how his property taxes went up by over $176,000. Right. And so your board of commissioners is supposed to be the person you go to get the real world answers on how he can adjust to that, how he plans on selling his home because of that, because he said that his value went up in his home because another house right here, another neighbor house, was sold for $600,000. Right. So how does one home affect the property taxes of another home? And that's where your board of commissioners comes in to bridge the gap, to translate the budget in layman's terms to our taxpayer dollars and our voters, to let them know what is going on, right? Another example, when I worked as a legislative aide for the board of commissioners for the immediate past vice chairman, we had a constituent who was having problems with his HOA board, who was having problems because he was getting charged for his house being in the flood zone area, which he didn't even know that it was in the flood zone area, right? So who does he go to combat the HOA, or to go to bat for him to speak on his behalf of the HOA? His board of commissioners, right? Your board of commissioners should be somebody that you trust, somebody who already has a working relationship with our federal officers and constitutional officers and elected officials within the county, who, if you have a problem, they know exactly where to go to address it and where to go to make sure you get the best answer of our ability. So your board of commissioner is someone that you should have that's in the community, not someone who looks down at this position. I look up at this position. I was the first one to declare. I declared in February of last year. So tomorrow will make a full year of campaigning for me for this position. So vote for Ruben Tillman on March 12th for 2024 to be your board of commissioner, to be your voice of reason, and to be at the liaison to translate what your taxpayer dollars are paying.
Please keep in mind, participants, if you have questions for the candidates, we have allotted time for you to put them in the chat. We thought we were going to be able to enable Q&A, but we were not. But if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try our best to get to them. The next question is going to start with candidate Hill. Thank you all so much for that first round of questions. This question is, given the diversity of Douglas County, what will you do to ensure equity, diversity, and the inclusion of all residents?
It's a great question. Thank you, ma'am. What I would do is what I've been doing, and that is be able to talk to any citizen that lives here and be able to cooperate and work with every citizen and hear their concerns. I've been able to do that in my 31 years of living here. As I meeting with citizens to hear their concerns and sharing their thoughts. District 2 comprises of a diverse group of people. We have obviously African Americans, we have white citizens, we have Hispanic citizens, we have Africans, citizens. We have a plethora of different citizens. And I've met with several different cultures and groups of citizens here to hear their concerns. And so I think putting a plan in place so that we actually hear each and every one of these citizens and their concerns, bring them together to eradicate any issues that they may have is what I will do and what's important. So being able to meet and understand their needs, their cultures, and the things that are concerning to them is really important. And so for me, meeting with them and discussing these things is important. So I think that having a relationship, being able to sit down and do that is phenomenal. Since I've lived out here, I moved out here in 1992 when the culture was vastly different. But I was able to navigate those waters and get things done, even though the culture of Douglas County was not what it is today. And that's through having relationships with different groups of people and being able to go to the table and have conversations with them and understand their concerns and their needs and merge their needs and their concerns together with everyone's needs and concerns. I've always been that type of individual that can have conversations with anybody, and I plan to continue to be able to have those kinds of conversations and hear the concerns of citizens here in Douglas County. As we know, the diversity has changed, is wide. So being able to have those conversations is really important. So I think vote for me. I'm the person who's had those relationships with people for the last 31 years and will continue to have those relationships. I have the trust of every different group in the county.
Thank you, Candidate Hill. Candidate Jones, same question.
Yes, I am actually a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion investigator. I have for several years done diversity or discrimination and harassment investigations for corporations, universities, and government entities. So I think that that's definitely a unique qualifier that I have. But in terms of what it would bring to the table or what that means for Douglas County and being a commissioner is one, diversity is more than just race. Diversity is socioeconomic status. It is diversity of abilities. It is diversity in education. It is diversity in gender. And so the main thing that we need to do is make sure that we are starting and working from the inside out. We have to make sure that the government that governs Douglas County, the judiciary that works or rules over the community members, and the businesses and entities that come and do business or work here in Douglas County, and the system that educates our students, and the system that polices our residents, all echo or look like the diversity that we are experiencing in the county. One of the things that the Board of Commissioners can do is make sure that we are enforcing rules and regulations for posting of job positions, making sure that judges' positions that are appointed are being looked at regularly, making sure that we're looking into, does the Sheriff's Department echo or reflect the residents that it serves? Are we acquiring and attracting a diverse population of teachers to make sure that our children are getting a well-rounded education, and making sure that people that have the opportunity to be in positions of power or in leadership have diversity in experience, have diversity in their backgrounds and where they come from, and that they also have diversity of thought? Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Jones. Candidate Mitchell, same question.
Thank you. I think we all know what America was founded on. So diversity, inclusion, and equity is a very, very major thing. And right now, the government is trying to take away affirmative action. So we see kind of what's going on, and which is why I was, like I said, stated earlier, I was one of the main faces to get the Confederate statue removed because I seen that doesn't recognize us as a whole, as togetherness, that separates us. Right. So ultimately, I think the biggest thing is I think in Douglas County, we already have a lot of diversity and inclusion and everything else, right? So we already practice those. If you look at our sheriff department, it's diverse. If you look at our students, it's diverse. If you look at our teachers, everyone is diverse. So we already practice those, and we're doing a great job with that. To make it even better, I will definitely implement promoting a lot more, because a lot of times we have to go on the actual site to see these certain things. I'll create an email list so they are able to learn, okay, this job is available or that job is available, to get more and more diversity within. I was always raised on not looking at skin color and just doing what's right. So to do what's right and do what's fair, that's what I was raised upon. I'll give an example. Phil Miller, he actually came to our chair. He came to one of my events and we spoke, and he spoke at my event, right? And we both understood that when it comes to terms of being fair, like, it's not about black or white. He's a Republican and I'm a Democrat. That doesn't matter. It's about inclusion and understanding what we need to do to move the community forward. And I think that's the biggest thing that we have to do. But as far as inclusion, I think we already practice that within the county. I think we do a great job. I think the commissioners do a great job of not choosing people based off of minority or majority. They choose what person deserves that position. All right. And again, Henry Mitchell IV, March 12th. Thank you again.
Candidate Tillman, same question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. When it comes to diversity and inclusion within the county, I believe we have to start first with as your board of commissioner, what all we can do and the parameters of what we can do, right? So we can support worker rights, right? We can incentivize programs for living wages, right? In the state of Georgia, for the longest, we actually operated under the national minimum wage budget, which is $7 and I believe 50 cents, right? For the longest, Georgia operated at $5.50. And so you have to come in knowing these type of things, knowing the type of local ordinances that you can pass and the tax abatements that you can pass, educating our voters, regardless if they're on the left wing or the right wing, about the homeowner tax relief grant that's available to them if they think their tax prices are too high, right? So the HTGR, the homeowner tax grant relief program, it offers up to $18,000 off your property taxes for a first-time grant, right? And that's completely separate from the homestead exemption grant as well, right? That's something that regardless of what side of the fence you stand on, you would like to hear or you'll like to apply for, right? The defunding of our mental health, community service health, and disability health services within the county, right? The fact that of the 12.5 mills that was proposed by our board of commissioners, 0.386% goes towards your health fare and public safety, right? Well, excuse me, your health fare and public works, right? Your public safety receives about 4.4 of that. Right. So it's about addressing what your taxpayer dollars pay for. And it's also about, when it comes to diversity and inclusion, making sure that every person within the county has a voice and has the right to life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness within the county.
Thank you, Candidate Tillman. We have several questions in the chat. Chair Crump, do you want me to go ahead and manage those? I can.
I'm serve at your pleasure, madam.
Then I will start since I have this order.
Okay.
Candidate Jones, we're going to start with you. Do you believe in term limits or no? And why or why not?
Oh, absolutely, 110%. I was able to hear part of Commissioner Kelly's resignation speech when he spoke with the Douglas County Democrats, and he mentioned that there is something to longevity, and I definitely agree with that, but only to a point. I would love, and for my own hubris would let me believe that I'm always going to be relevant, that I'm always going to have my pulse to the ground and knowing what's going on. And that's just simply not true. There comes a time and a place where you need to get out of the way for younger generations. You need to get out of the way for diversity of thought to be able to come in, and to make sure that residents are being truly represented by an individual who has not become so far removed from what is important to them, to ensure that they are getting their needs met. And I think that one of the only ways to ensure that that's happening is to make sure that you have term limits. Additionally, I think if you have term limits, it takes the burden, or it places the burden back on voters to make sure that they are educating themselves on the candidates who are running, making sure that they are staying abreast of local issues and not simply relying on going to the ballot box and checking the I when they go to vote. And so for those reasons, I absolutely support term limits. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell?
Oh, I definitely support term limits. Through each generation, there's something called agents of socialization, right? If you ever wondered why you don't think like your older generation, or you don't think like the generation up under you, is because we're being programmed through something called agents of socialization. So ultimately, with a term limit, you kind of have a different person, a different perspective, a different idea to bring the county forward. Me and my father definitely had conversations about this already, about having these term limits, because people sit in positions so long, but they have a different mind state, right? So since they have a different mind state, everybody feels like their generation is the generation of all generations, which is a false thing, right? Each generation has something to offer. So to have those term limits, it also forces the citizens to know what's going on. And it also keeps them more involved, because they understand that, okay, all right, this person might be up. I don't know if we want to do it for 8 years, or like the president, or we could do it 12. I don't know what that looks like, but a term limit forces people to pay attention to who's in office and why they should be in office, and it better helps educate. Right now, we have individuals who might be Democrats that don't know what's going on, but all they know, when I go to the polls, I'm just gonna go D, even though it might actually hurt them more so than help them. Same thing with Republicans, right? They have programmed us to always vote a certain type of way, but having a term limit forces the individual to know what is going on and what they should or shouldn't be doing and who they are voting for. I wouldn't even be opposed if we just take out the Democrat and Republican in the whole time and just make it an incumbent seat, and you just go by your name alone. That will kind of show who you are in the community and what you will have to do. So that's just my little 2 cents behind it. That's all I needed. Henry Mitchell IV, March 12th. Thank you.
Candidate Tillman, do you believe in term limits? Why or why not?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And being the youngest candidate on the ballot, and being the youngest candidate, I believe in Douglas County right now at the time, I am absolutely in favor of term limits. I'm absolutely in favor that, the limit of a term makes it even more imperative that you use your time very wisely, and that you use taxpayer dollars very wisely to implement a change, and a feasible change that we can see the results for in an X amount of time, right? And so I'm very much and to combat that, those who are for term limits, I understand that change is slow. I understand that during the civil rights movement, right, for the Montgomery boycott to happen, it took 385 days of straight boycotting, right, to change a national law, right? So I understand how change can be slow. But again, it is time to make room for a new generation, a new fresh face who is more in liaison to the youth and can secure our elders as well in the same breath. So I'm absolutely in favor of term limits. I'm absolutely in favor of being very strategic with the term limits, and having our voters being on pace and keeping on track to what's going on with the civic opportunities in Douglas County. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hill, same question.
I certainly believe in terms should be limited as well. I think limiting terms actually cuts down on, actually wasteful government spending. It eliminates incentives from long-term serving commissioners or politicians. And also, it also has a way of keeping them honest and keeping them working in a temporary state. Obviously, oftentimes these politicians are grandfathered into these positions and served too long to where they, began to lose their cognitive skills. And I think that's a problem. I think that being in an office for too long you tend to forget to listen to those who got you there because you feel as though you cannot be removed. That's to the point of my opponents. The checking the Democratic box or checking the incumbent box, if they don't know the candidates very well, they typically check the incumbent. And oftentimes the incumbent might not be the best person for that position. So that is a problem. And we should run simply on who we are and not an incumbent status. I think, honestly, every one of these candidates here, I'm pleased to be running with them. I think they're all, I know Ruben very well. I watched him grow up, actually. And Ms. Jones, she actually is my daughter's line sister, so I've gotten to know her as well as Mr. Mitchell a little bit. So I say that to say that I think serving long-term can be problematic. And I think that that having a short term will allow you to work faster, harder, and more honestly, because we know certainly people get in positions and they're there for a while and feel they can't be removed. When we see that people can be removed, people become less conscientious of what's really important. So absolutely, I believe terms should be limited.
Thank you. The next question from one of our audience is, tell me more about property tax, improving schools, and decreasing crime. And we'll start with candidate Mitchell.
You said property tax. What else you said?
Lowering property taxes, improving schools, and decreasing crime.
Okay, so with property taxes, it's based upon how much your property is worth. So if, hypothetically speaking, I'm in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, right? So let's say my property is worth $150,000. So if another property comes along the way and they have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath and it sells for $300,000, now my property tax or property value has went up to $300,000. So in essence, I'll pay more in property taxes, right? So I know a lot of people think that when their property taxes going up is a bad thing, but to some eyes, it's a good thing, right? So it's like a double-edged sword when you think about property taxes. When it comes to improving the schools, with improving the schools, I think the school board is doing a great job of what they're doing right now, right? So to add on to the improvement, I would definitely add on another route besides college that the kids can take. I'm big on trades. I got my degree in communications, but I'm not in the field of what I felt like I should be in communications. With colleges now, right? It's a hustle. Right, so you go to college and you get these degrees. If you don't major in the degrees as where the market is actually going to, then in that sense you didn't get a degree. You just got a piece of paper as a high school diploma. So ultimately, I want to create a different route for our high schoolers to take, so they're able to go ahead in a career path of where they want to go at an earlier age, at an earlier stage. Right. Well, as far as crime, lowering crime is let's a lot of, I don't know if our citizens know this, but our crime hasn't jumped up higher. It's been the same. I'll give an example, right? So percentage wise, let's say we have 100 people in a community and 10 people committed crime. So now we have 200 people and 20 people have committed crime. So we haven't necessarily got higher in crime. We just got a lot more people that are here. So ultimately the crime, I think the sheriff's department did a great job.
Wonderful, thank you. Candidate Tillman, same question. Lowering property taxes, improving schools, and decreasing crime. Share your thoughts, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And as far as my constituents in Douglas County who are struggling with property taxes at the moment, one thing you can do right now is go apply for the homeowners tax relief grant. Right, the homeowners tax relief grant, which is an $18,000 one-time grant deductible. Right, and another deductible you can look for is the Homestead Exemption Act as well. Both can be found at Tax Commissioner Greg Baker's website. Right, but as far as property taxes and managing those, like I said, we've kept the same millage rate for the past 4 years. It increased up to 12.5 in 2020 due to the pandemic, right? But we haven't yet to receive the rollback since the pandemic is over and the ARPA funds are running low. Right. So as far, and this ties directly into our youth, it ties directly into addressing our youth in these schools, right? Because we just increased the sheriff's budget, but we decreased the community service outlets, right? So right now in Douglas County, per a couple of months ago, we have just cut all ties. I repeat, we have cut all ties with all state entities and local nonprofits within the county. All right. So if you have a nonprofit that helps with the youth and has specializes with the youth, the county just cut all ties with you. For example, we just defunded the CSB again by nearly $1 million, right? Which they gave supply grants to other local communities within the community as well. Senior centers, I know a senior center just got their funding cut by $40,000 right here in the district. We have the Youth Innovation Center, right? That is placed right next to the two lowest performing high schools at the time in the county, and which is Turner Middle School and Lithia Springs High School, right? So the Youth Innovation Center, they just got their funding decut as well. Right, they just got their funding cut and defunded as well. And so it's very important that if we want to attack the youth, if we want to tackle youth and get a hold of the youth, that you have a candidate that is responsible for the taxpayer dollars that go toward the community to help raise the village. Right. I have a Baptist preacher background, and I believe that wholeheartedly it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, and we have to supply that village with the proper resources through their taxpayer dollars that they already use. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hill, same question.
I believe that property taxes can be controlled by perhaps putting a cap on the property taxes increases. I know that potentially could impact the schools and the funding they receive. But houses are being sold at 20, 30, or 40% increases, which impacts the property taxes. So I believe that capping property taxes at a certain percentage, maybe less than 2%, certainly will prevent property taxes from increasing. I think too that giving tax rebates to lower income homeowners to compensate for growing property taxes and property values would certainly help. This idea will maintain a balance between expensive homes and lower income homeowners. I think the school system is doing a very good job with what they have, but I think we have companies here in Douglas County like Google and other STEM companies who need to partner with our school system and allow their STEM programs to work with our students, so that perhaps they can get an internship or even get a job there after graduating. So we have a lot of companies here on the outskirts of Douglas County that can support our school system and allow them an opportunity to work directly with their STEM program. So property taxes, I think, again, could be capped so that they don't continue to grow. Excuse me. And so, I think that those are the things that needs to happen in order to control the property taxes. Just capping it, the property taxes, and looking at other avenues with grants to obviously help the homeowners, pay their property taxes or control the value of their home.
Thank you, Candidate Hill. Candidate Jones, if you would answer that question as well.
Yes. So in terms of property tax, I just want to make sure that we're all being clear. And I know it's been stated before, but the property tax rate, the millage rate, has not been increased. Property values have increased, which has resulted in you paying more in your property. So my advice to residents who are struggling is to, one, make sure that you are applying for that homestead exemption if you qualify, and also making sure that you are aware that you can appeal your property tax assessment. That is one of the quickest ways for you to be able to manage what is happening to your specific property, so that you can get that down to a rate that you can afford. We also have to keep in mind that the funding for our schools and funding for the youth programs are based directly on how much money we bring in property tax. So fighting crime, reducing crime, and then having an appropriate tax rate go hand in hand. You can't expect to reduce drastically what you are paying in property taxes and also want to make sure that you are reducing crime without having a steady plan to do so. With that, we are going to have to make sure that we are funding youth programs in this community, that access to education remains open, and that we are meeting the healthcare needs of our residents. Most of the crime that is committed in Douglas County is petty crimes, theft crimes, a lot of crimes out of necessity. And when people are struggling, when people are poor, when people are tired, they resort sometimes to unscrupulous behaviors. And so we've got to have a plan to help bring those people among us up, educate them, get them health care, make sure that they can earn a living wage. Part of that also is going to be Douglas County as a whole coming together and demonstrating a commitment to keeping out corporate landlords so that people who cannot afford to purchase homes have viable rental options in this area. Thank you.
Time.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of questions in the chat, and unfortunately, we are not going to be able to get to all of them. We know that voter suppression is in full effect. There are measures every day, including requiring registration, that is causing citizens not to be able to cast their vote and for their voices to be heard. What measures, if any, will you take to increase voter registration and voter turnout? And we are going to start that with candidate Tillman.
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that question. Still in the month of January, as we just celebrated Martin Luther King's Day, and then we remember the 1965 Voter Rights Act, which actually made people of color gave them access more to voting rights and whatnot. And so it's very important. I support any legislation that helps to enable more people to vote and helps to enable more of our voters to have access to the polls, right? Voting is your opportunity to hire and fire as a citizen. It's your opportunity to hire the citizens that the constituents and candidates you want to be representative of you, a representative of your interests, representative for the elderly community, representative for the younger community, and for your own personal relations, right? So it's important to choose a candidate who is very well versed in voter education, mobilization, and registration as well. And also a candidate who can reach the people, right? Again, I'm a member of the PTSA at New Manchester High School. I also have a running scholarship through my nonprofit called the Tillman Leadership Scholarship at these schools as well. And these all encourage voter education, mobilization, and registration, right? We have extensive contracts with Peaches to the Polls to help young people get more civically active and civically engaged with what's going on, and know that it is very important to vote for your county commissioners, your mayors, your sheriffs, and all these local municipalities before you focus more on the broader and federal and macro level of your presidents and whatnot. So it's very, very important. An expansion of voting is a very important part of my campaign, a part of my administration as well. As a local Democrat, as a proud youth pastor, as a proud rec football coach, as a proud CEO of a nonprofit and business owner, as just a proud member of District 2 and this society. It is very, very important that everybody in this district has the opportunity to vote and an opportunity for life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and social mobility. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hill.
I think that increasing voter registration can be done by getting out and setting up voter registration drives, which I've been a part of. I think that obviously there's a lot of citizens here in Douglas County that can't get out and vote. So we need to create a platform where we can actually pick up our seniors or our handicapped or people who have issues getting to the voting polls to vote or getting registered to vote. Pick them up and get them out and get them registered to vote so that they can vote. I think that educating our voters on the issues at hand and is critically important, and listening to them and their concerns and trying to convince them the importance of voting. A lot of people don't want to vote now because they feel it's what's the point. So I think that getting out and getting folks the ability to vote, picking them up, getting them the ability to register to vote is really important. So I think that as a member here, I've done that. I've registered people to vote, and I understand some of my candidates have done it as well. So I think that's really, really important and huge. So we need to make it accessible for those who can't get out to vote to get out to vote, and we need to educate them on the process of voting, why it's important to vote. So all of those things are really critical to empowering voters. And I think that through doing those things, we'll be able to increase the voter registration, get voters to get out to the polls and vote.
Thank you, Candidate Hill. Candidate Jones.
Yes, I think that we can increase voter registration in a number of ways. One, making sure that we are getting to our youth, making sure that 17-year-olds know that if they're going to be turning 18 within so many months of the election, that they can register and participate in those elections. Statistically speaking, if you get a voter engaged and involved at a younger age, the longer they are more likely to stay engaged, stay abreast of the topics that are relevant, and continue to vote throughout the remainder of their life. So the first thing I would do is make sure that we're doing drives that are getting our teens who are eligible registered to vote. The second thing that we need to make sure that we are doing is ensuring that Formerly incarcerated individuals are aware that if they have served out their terms, they're not on probation, that they have not committed any other crimes, nonviolent crimes for the past 5 years, that they also can go and try to have their voting rights reestablished. They are still members of our community. Their voices still matter. And one way to ensure that they are not recidivized is to ensure that they are active and engaged in the process, which also makes our community safer. And we want to continue to do that. And then, of course, partnering with other organizations who are already doing voter engagement right, such as Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, all of the Divine Nine are going out and making sure that they are meeting people where they are, getting them registered to vote. We just had the MLK Day of Service at New Manchester High School, and tons of people came and were able to register to vote at that event. So making sure that we continue to support and partner the efforts of organizations who are already doing this work very well.
Thank you so much, Candidate Jones. And to close out that question and the questions for the evening, Candidate Mitchell.
Okay, as far as voter suppression, I think we definitely have to vote the correct people in office. I live in a generation, our generation is kind of giving up when it comes to politics, right? So it's ultimately getting them motivated again, and that's why I am running, right? So I think another thing is educating the youth coming up, right? We should be in the schools teaching them about voting and why it is so important. They don't really understand why it's important, but if you teach them why and how it affects them, it could motivate them to actually vote. And they have to be able to connect with you, right? With different generations, I can walk into a high school right now and all the students look at me and pay attention, and I can get their attention, right? As far as getting to the polls, I have a team right now that's going to drive and pick up people and take them to the polls, whether you vote for me or whether you vote for any of the candidates that we have on the call, right? So that's another way of kind of definitely getting that involved. And another thing, you can go to my website, henrymitchelliv.com. Again, that's henrymitchelliv.com. And if you go to the voting section, you can scroll down and you can get registered to vote online, right? Now we live in a society, you don't need paper to vote. You can just vote online. Just put your information in and you got it. And also you will see all the votes that's coming up. We have a lot of different elections coming up, 1 February 13th, on down to the presidential election. You'll get the opportunity to see what's going up so you can be more educated. I think education is the biggest thing that people need to have. Once you're educated, now you make an educated decision on who it is that you would like to vote for and how you want to get vote for as well, right? So ultimately, I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to that. As far as getting people motivated, I agree with everything any of my candidates said. I agree with all of it. Having these voter registration rallies, going to knocking on doors, just in general, everything else. But for the most part, you should definitely go to my website so you can just understand how to vote. And also you can learn where your voting precincts are on my website, henrymitchelliv.com.
Time.
Thank you so much. This concludes our forum for tonight. We thank the candidates who thought it not robbery to join our collaboration this evening so that the citizens of Douglas County and others who are concerned can hear from you and gain a better understanding of your views. Thank you to the other organizations, members who collaborated in this endeavor. It is all our goal to edify the beloved community so that you can cast your ballot and you are making an informed decision. Let's give a hand clap for our chair of West Metro's NAACP's Voter Empowerment Committee, Dr. Deborah Crump, and all those who worked with her to bring this first in the series of this election season to fruition. You did an amazing job and we thank you. Thank you to all of you joining us this evening to hear from the candidates and for asking the questions that are near and dear to you. We encourage you to fact check what you've heard here tonight. Don't take anybody's word for what they've said. Do your own due diligence, do your own research, become an informed voter. Please know that we do this because of you. We hope that you have gained a better understanding of the people who seek to represent you, and you are closer to a decision that best aligns with your interests. It is all of our jobs to ask the questions and to hold our elected officials accountable. And with that, we say good night and take good care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.